Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome in to another edition of Morning Jox. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell, we are here alongside you 11 o'clock when we will hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. And I think today's going to be a good day, Damian. I have a good feeling about today. I think that
you woke up on the right side,
because I'm sure he's up already right now because he's a hardworking guy. But yeah, no, it feels like it's gonna be a good day. We've gotten some good news in the college football world. We've gotten some entertaining rumors in the college football world. But you've really got everything that you could want on a Tuesday morning. You've got it today. So I have a feeling today's going to be a good day, and I hope for a lot of you. Again, it is rainy outside, so be careful if you're taking the kids to school this morning when you're on your way to work. Make sure that you stay nice and weather aware because it was definitely a little more crowded on the roads, a little slower this morning than I was expecting with all the rain. But hopefully it's sunshine and rainbows in Tuscaloosa today because it should be, as they have officially named a starting quarterback for the 2025 college football season. And this was a real nail biter, Damian. We really didn't know who it was going to be. It really came down to the wire, I think, between all the contestants. The big surprise of the year was that Ty Simpson yesterday was named the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. He was addressed in front of the team yesterday, where they made the announcement. I'm sure there'll be some sort of fun video or something that comes out of that in the near future on social media. Yay, Alabama, immediately. If you are a subscriber to that, which, believe it or not, I am not. But if you are a subscriber to that, you got to read a nice little interview that they had put up yesterday of Ty Simpson and Kalen DeBoer, I guess, talking about his journey and what it's been like for him and his college experience of having to wait his turn before finally getting an opportunity to be the starting quarterback at Alabama. So that was the big news yesterday, as you had a number of reports coming out last night after this team meeting. So here's a quick excerpt from the interview that Ty Simpson had done with the Alabama yesterday. It says, quote, "My journey is like no other. And I think it meant a lot to the guys as well, knowing that I've had opportunities to leave and I didn't because I want to be here." So if that's, feel like that's got to get you going a little bit on a Tuesday morning if you're an Alabama football fan, right? Because that's the one thing that, and to be fair, I don't think a lot of people probably think this way, right? Because they're also focused on, well, what can this person do for me and my happiness on Saturdays in the fall? But as many people as we've heard say, "Oh, I don't think Ty Simpson can be a quarterback. I don't want to believe in this guy. If he was so good, we would have gotten him last year." And all of these different things. And if that's your opinion, then you're entitled to that opinion, and that's perfectly fine. But this is a guy that's had numerous opportunities to leave, and he decided not to because he thinks that what is best for him ultimately was to stay at Alabama, work his tail off, and get this opportunity that he has now earned for this upcoming year, and hopefully parlay that into a career at the next level where he can play football for a long, long time and make a lot of money doing so. But look, we want to hear from you today. That's what a lot of this show is going to be about this morning. What are your expectations for Ty Simpson as the new starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide? Yes, if you're just joining us, they did name a quarterback yesterday in front of the team. It was addressed. Ty Simpson was named the starting quarterback after what we heard was a pretty spectacular scrimmage on Saturday. I know Greg on Mac and Cube yesterday, he was there in person in Tuscaloosa, said he was very impressed and that they were better than he was expecting them to be. The quarterbacks were, and we had heard really all off season that Ty Simpson, it was kind of his job to lose. And the other quarterbacks have played well, but Ty Simpson has clearly been the guy that's the most in control of the offense. So we want to hear from you, 205-834-9450, your immediate reaction. Does this get you pumped up for the Florida State game now that you know, hey, it's Ty Simpson. He can focus on the game plan for the next 2.5 weeks and be ready to go on August the 30th? Or are you still pessimistic? You don't think that Ty Simpson's the guy, and now that he's been named starting quarterback for Alabama, you're just not going to watch any games this year because you're just disgusted and they're not going to make the college football playoff. So why would you even bother? So anything in between, of course, we would love to hear from you and get your immediate thoughts. But Damian, I do want to know, just for you again, like, anybody that's listened to this show, or you listen to Jox, or you keep up with really college football a good bit, you probably aren't super shocked to hear this. I was a little surprised at when we got the news, because Kalen DeBoer had said he was going to wait until after the second scrimmage, but they went ahead and pulled the trigger yesterday. But just kind of your immediate thoughts when you saw the news yesterday, and what you think Ty Simpson could be this year for Alabama.
I looked at it the same way I have going into the spring of he's pretty much QB1 penciled in, and it's up for him. It's up to him to lose the job as far as removing all the doubt, removing any sort of wiggle room. Not to say that Austin Mack and Keelan Russell haven't been doing what they've needed to do, but Ty Simpson's been there the longest. The experience of playing college football is it now. He's in year 2 with Kalen DeBoer, so last year's kind of an acclimation period. And also, for the highs and lows that we got from Jalen Milroe, I think that Ty Simpson is in a better situation. I think when you look at the weapons that he has around him, it's very similar to Mac Jones back in the day. Like, it's just be a point guard. You don't have to go out. Now, if you go out here and throw for 4,000 and 50-something touchdowns, like, okay, that's icing on the cake. But I think as far as, quote-unquote, being a game manager, I think he's in a perfect situation where, again, and the thing is, Ty's he's sneaky athletic. Like, if you see, he's busted a few runs in his career.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, again, when you have the talent of Isaiah Horton, Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Jam Miller in the backfield, he's surrounded by guys who actually have played a lot. And it can take, a lot of the pressure off of him of, I just need to get these playmakers the ball and get out of the way. Like, as long as I'm not in their way and I'm not making it, hard for them to make plays, I think he's in a perfect situation. And I think the decision-making in this offense should be okay. And again, the people that you have surrounding you, the talent that you have surrounding you, you should be just fine. And I don't think you could have gone wrong with Austin Mack, because, again, for everything that we've heard, he did nothing but get better. And I think that Ty went in there, commanded the huddle, was like, hey, I'm operating as I'm in QB1 mode, and it got to the point where you couldn't deny it. And I think Kalen DeBoer is in the perfect position. He's got an experienced guy under center, and we'll see where this thing goes. I'm excited for week 1 against Florida State now. Like, it should be entertaining down there in Tallahassee.
It absolutely should be. And so, yeah, I know a lot of people, yesterday just kind of happy to, again, not that, many people I think were surprised by the fact that it's Ty Simpson, but just happy to know that, okay, this isn't a situation where, I think it shows confidence, right? That you're able to go ahead and make that decision and make that call, and it's not something that's being drug out into the week of the Florida State game, and maybe you start to have the belief of, because, there's the popular saying, well, if you have 2 quarterbacks and you don't have any quarterbacks, right? And so maybe now, knowing that Ty's going to be the guy moving forward, you don't have to worry about, there being any part of that competition. You can go ahead and maybe start to get a head start on some things for Florida State, now that you know exactly who you're going to be working with from a personnel standpoint on the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, big expectations, no doubt about it, for Ty Simpson. And, I've said, if you've listened to this show regularly, I said one of my, I guess, hot takes when we did that a couple months back for the upcoming season was that Ty Simpson would find himself with at least one Heisman vote, but multiple Heisman votes at the end of the year, and finish somewhere in the top 10 of Heisman voting. And, if that's the kind of season that you're going to get from Ty Simpson, then I think we're talking about Alabama playing football for a very, very long time this year. But I do also think, again, and, Jake Coker is a name that I've heard people, and I brought it up myself, of, that's more the style of what you need from Ty Simpson. Now, if he wants to go and be, closer to like a Bryce Young or a Tua or even a Mac Jones in terms of the numbers that you're going to put up, then I don't think anybody's going to be mad about that that's an Alabama fan. But, Jake Coker's an easy comparison of, hey, this is a guy that you were able to win a national championship with at quarterback. And if you can just replicate that kind of production, then you're going to be okay. Granted, the caveat was the year with Jake Coker. Yeah, Derrick Henry back there that you just kind of handed off 40 times a game to. So you don't have that luxury, unfortunately. I like Jam Miller, but he's no Derrick Henry, unfortunately. But you go and look at Jake Coker in 2015. You won a national championship. He completed about 67% of his throws, 3,100 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. See, and I think you can even go. If you go a year before that, and I know you didn't win a national championship that year, but you look at what a guy like Blake Sims did, 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Like, if that's the arena that you're in, if you're Ty Simpson, mid 3,000 yards, flirting with 30 passing touchdowns and, 10 or less interceptions, I feel like that's a pretty good spot for you to be in overall. And if the running game is as good as we're hearing that it's been throughout fall camp for Alabama, and the defense is as solid as we've heard that it can be, maybe the defensive line gets shored up a little bit. I think you're sitting pretty right there if you're Alabama, if you're able to get those kinds of numbers out of Ty Simpson this year. But we'll have to wait and see ultimately how it all pans out. But of course, if you're just now joining us, the big news last night, Ty Simpson named QB1 for Alabama heading into the Florida State game. As we were thinking that announcement was going to come down over the weekend, upcoming after the second scrimmage, because that's when Kalen DeBoer said they were going to make the call. But very confident in Ty Simpson. Heard a lot of good things about him in scrimmage one this weekend, and they go ahead and make that move yesterday. So we want to hear from you, 205-834-9450. What are your thoughts? What are your expectations? Were you excited when you heard the news yesterday, or you're hearing it now this morning? Are you now disappointed that Ty Simpson's going to be the guy for your Alabama Crimson Tide this season? We'd love to hear from you. Get all your reaction, good, bad. Simpson being named the new quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. But we do have the other team on the other side of the state, the Auburn Tigers, the offensive coaches for the first time this fall camp. And Auburn getting some pretty big news about player availability this upcoming season as well. We'll tell you all the latest next here on Morning Jock.
6:17 here on Morning Jox. Damian Mitchell alongside Conrad Van Order. And, of course, you as well, our wonderful listeners, 205-849-4450. Getting your reaction to QB1 finally being named at the Alabama Crimson Tide, as Ty Simpson will be your starter this season. And we're just continuing on the Jox text line. Of course, you can call in, text in 205-834-9450. Somebody texts in and says, our O-line will have to be elite for Bama to have a chance. Don't see Ty as a Heisman contender without the line being way better. He is a game manager, not a playmaker. He is not Coker or Jones. Well, who is he then? Listen, again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just look at the situation as you look at the talent that he is surrounded by. Nobody's asking him to go out there and throw for 400. Hell, he ain't even got to throw for 250. You got the talent around you that, hey, I can hand this thing off to Jam Miller. And again, I agree with you. The offensive line has to be better. But right now, I think from everything that we've heard, there's not many question marks on that offensive line. Maybe a couple people, but collectively, I think you're in a better situation than a lot of people going into the 2025 season.
Yeah, and look, I understand he won a national championship, and the dude was tough as nails, and he came through when Alabama absolutely needed him to. But like, if you don't think Ty Simpson can put up Jake Coker numbers and do what he did in the offense, then I mean, like, I'm sorry. I think all three of those quarterbacks could go out there and put up statistically better numbers than Jake Coker did. Now, can you come through in the big moments, right? You know, there are certainly factors that go into, you know, what can make a successful quarterback, and you can go out there and put up the best numbers in the world, but if they're coming in garbage time, whatever, then it doesn't really matter, does it? But yeah, I get it. Like, some people, you know, they are just really dead set on Ty Simpson. You know, if it's taken you this long to get on the playing field, then there's no way that you're actually worth it. But okay, remember, we thought the same thing about Mac Jones, right? And we can say, you can make all the jokes you want about Mac Jones now. Like, his NFL career hasn't gone great. He's still playing in the NFL, doing better than a lot of us are. But I mean,
what did he do at Alabama?
The dude went and threw for 4,500 yards and won a national championship. And I mean, arguably, you could argue that was the greatest Alabama team ever, was that 2020 team. And I know there was a lot of other reasons for that, but if you don't want to go that far, I completely understand that. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and put up the Mac Jones type numbers, but like Jake Coker numbers again, like, I mean, they're not that crazy. I'm just saying. But I mean, I get it. Some people just aren't super optimistic, and you know, we all thought that maybe Keelan Russell was going to be the guy this year, and they were just going to rush him out there. And you know, I think again, it's, if you don't have to do that, then why would you do that? And it seems pretty obvious that the coaching staff at least views Ty as somebody that can come in and take care of business. So we will see August the 30th against Florida State. That'll be the first impression that we all get of what this new Alabama offense looks like. And I'm sure that people will not overreact to it at all, Damian, because why would they ever do something like that? I did mean to ask you, though, does this, them making this announcement, does this sway your decision that you have to make in 9 days about who you're going to be rooting for in the upcoming season?
No, because I assumed that Ty Simpson would be the starter up until this point, but you know, now that it's official that he's QB1, no, my decision has not wavered. Okay,
I just didn't know if they made that decision specifically to like nudge you in a certain direction or something.
No.
Okay, I didn't know. But yeah, so continue to send in your reaction, 205-834-9450, to Ty Simpson being named the starting quarterback there for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and we will get to more of your text and thoughts throughout the show. But we do have some other things in the college football world to get to, and yes, we will get to the situation in Oklahoma. I know a lot of people texting in about that. We will mention that, and if you don't know what we're talking about, you will find out soon. But we do have the Auburn Tigers, as they were on the practice field again yesterday. Got to hear from a couple of their offensive staff members for the first time this fall. But the big news for a lot of Auburn fans yesterday came in the form of legal news, and that is that the case against Malcolm Simmons, the wide receiver, that has been dismissed. So he had been at practice through the first part of fall camp. We have been getting text messages Yes, we see them, all of them, every day that y'all send in of people with various thoughts on that situation and why we're not covering it more or why we're not figuring out what happened, whatever. Um, this is why, because you never know how a situation's going to get resolved, and you can have your own ideas of why this case got dismissed or how it got resolved. But all we know is that the case has been dismissed, the charges have been dismissed, and he's going to be a member of the Auburn football team moving forward, um, as far as we know. So that's the situation. I know a lot of Auburn fans taking a little bit of a victory lap last night. Maybe an interesting situation to take a victory lap on, but nonetheless, a what is probably going to be a vital part of Auburn's offense. Those charges have been cleared. That case has been dismissed, and he will be a part of the team moving forward. So I know that is certainly good news on the football field front for Auburn fans, as that wide receiver room is one of the very best in the country, and Malcolm Simmons certainly figures to be a big part of that this upcoming season. But let's hear a little bit from the offensive side of the ball for the Auburn Tigers. So we got to hear from Derek Nix yesterday, and I know, obviously Hugh Freeze gets a lot of the attention when it comes to calling the plays and the offensive side of the ball, but Derek Nix, someone he's very familiar with, and so always good, of course, to get to hear a little bit of a different perspective from him. So this is yesterday. This is Derek Nix meeting with the media after Auburn practice, and kind of his overall assessment on the scrimmage performance that we saw on Friday from the Auburn offense and where they need to continue to get better. So yeah, that's basically what we had been hearing, is a lot of it just being the consistency part of it for the Auburn offense. Because we had told you yesterday they were able to create some explosives on Friday, which is obviously good to see. But you need to be a little more consistent in the execution, because it's great when you can hit the home run play, but can you be consistent and do the little things right when you just need to sustain drives and things of that nature? So appears that's still a little bit of a work in progress for Auburn on the consistency front. But how about, we've been hearing a lot about that defense, and especially that defensive line for Auburn and how impressive they've been in fall camp. So this is Derek Nix. He was asked, how difficult is it to maybe measure what you're doing offensively when you're going up against a defense that's been as impressive as Auburn's has been this fall? So there you go. There's Derek Nix talking about how there needs to be a good back and forth between the offense and defense, just so you kind of have that ebb and flow, and it's not too obvious that one side of the ball is just kind of clear and winning the day each and every day, or each and every drill, at least there. And then how about this finally, Derek Nix on Omar Mabson, who's been kind of the breakout star, the freshman running back for Auburn this fall camp. What has he seen from Omar, and how is he earning playing time, or potentially earning playing time this early on in his career? So there you have it. That was Derek Nix, the offensive coordinator of the Auburn Tigers, yesterday as he was meeting with the media. Just kind of a quick overview there, talking about a little bit about the offense needing to be more consistent. There seems to be a good ebb and flow between the offense and defense in terms of, when they're going through practice on a daily basis. The offenses having theirs at times, the defense is getting theirs at times. And then you hear a little bit about Omar Mabson, who's been a bit of a breakout player there for Auburn this fall camp. You also got Kent Austin. He spoke with the media. He's the quarterbacks coach. Very complimentary of the quarterbacks. Said that he's liked the progress they've made in fall camp. Nothing too earth shattering there. And then you had Marcus Davis, the wide receiver coach, also briefly speaking with the media. Very complimentary about the wide receivers. A lot of praise for Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman, of course, as you would expect, but also a lot from guys, the Horatio Fields of the worlds, the Bryce Canes of the worlds, those guys that, not saying that they're forgotten about, but, maybe they, the spotlight a little bit brighter on two of those guys in that wide receiver room, but really so just a lot of depth and really one of the strongest position groups that I think you would find across the entire country. Is in that wide receiver room at Auburn. So good to hear from the Plains side of things there, as you got to hear from the offensive coaching staff for the Auburn Tigers. And we also, of course, joining us for Alabama, that Ty Simpson has been named QB1 for them moving forward. So I'd love to hear from you, your thoughts on the latest from Auburn fall camp, your thoughts on Ty Simpson being named QB1 for Alabama. 205-849-9450. And we will get to some of your reaction here coming up. But first, what is going on in Norman, Oklahoma? Could someone keep it on Venmo? We will let you know all the details next here on Jox. .632, welcome back into Morning Jox. Appreciate you making us a part of your day each and every day here on Jox, as we have had quite a bit of news to get to this morning. So joining us, and you are not chronically online, you missed the big news yesterday. Alabama has a new starting quarterback. big surprise as Ty Simpson was named the QB1 for Alabama yesterday. It was addressed to the team, I guess, in front of the entire team. Actually, the announcement was made yesterday by the coaching staff. So big news there for Ty Simpson as he officially will lead the Alabama Crimson Tide into their Week 1 matchup against Florida State. So we've been getting a lot of reaction to that this morning. Also on the Auburn side of things, you had the charges against Malcolm Simmons dismissed yesterday. So he looks like he is going to be good to go for the upcoming college football season on the plains of Auburn. And we have some other things going on in the world. So the big news early on was a quarterback that likes to wear crimson and white. And what Ty Simpson could potentially do for the Alabama Crimson Tide this year as he hopes to lead them back to the college football playoff. Well, there's another quarterback. I guess it's not crimson, but it is another shade of red and white that he will don. Well, potentially not this upcoming fall. And that is John Mateer, the new quarterback of the Oklahoma Sooners, transferred over from Washington State. Again, if you have listened to this show this offseason, you know one thing, and that is that Damian and I are big John Mateer fans. And we have very high expectations for him and the Oklahoma offense this upcoming season, as do many of you, I know. But if you missed this, again, this is alleged, right? We don't have any hard facts, I guess, at this point in time. We haven't had John Mateer make any statements yet. But if you were on social media last night and you follow a lot of social media accounts, or SEC social media accounts, excuse me, you likely saw this being passed around. So I don't know where this started from, but it comes from Venmo. So if you don't know what Venmo is, it's an app where you can go and you can pay your friends for things. It's instead of, having to go get cash and give it to your friends, you can pay them online with, your credit card, whatever. And so Venmo it's a very popular app, especially in, I would say, people our age, Damien. I used it a ton in college. I still use it sometimes, but used it a ton in college when, you got to pay your roommate for, the power bill, or, you left your wallet at home and, you want, your buddy to buy you a couple beers at the bar and, you're going to pay him back for it later, right? That Venmo's great for that kind of stuff. I will say I also use it. What I use it for now, it's great for fantasy football, right? Easy way to collect a pool of money for something like that. And some people will use it as a way of distributing money for sports gambling. So John Mateer, somebody went back on his Venmo from 3 years ago, which is bizarre, but somebody did that. And they found a couple of purchases or transactions that he had made. And so when you make a transaction on Venmo, you have to put a caption with it, right? So, you'll see people put funny stuff all the time, but it's generally meant that the only people that are ever going to see it are you and the person that you're sending it to, because who goes and looks at Venmo notifications? Apparently somebody. But in November 2022, November 20th of 2022 to be exact, you have John Mateer paying another guy by the name of Richard Roten, allegedly, according to the images that were passed around last night on social media. And his Venmo charges, there's two of them, and they just say sports gambling. That's it. That's the caption. One of them says sports gambling. The other one says sports gambling, parentheses, UCLA versus USC. So they decided to make sure that they specifically mentioned a certain game in one of these messages. There were also some other Venmo screenshots that were going around last night that...
get a little wild on Venmo.
People wouldn't be happy about in today's world.
Not at all.
So again, okay, so this story, or you start to see these posts going around, and the initial thought by a lot of people is, okay, well, this doesn't seem like it's legit. Well, then you find out last night that John Mateer went and he completely deleted all of his Venmo notification. Like, he went and cleared out his account, which is... okay, maybe, sure, there's just an odd coincidence. Maybe he just signed an NIL deal with Cash App, right? And they're like, hey, man, you need to go delete all your Venmo stuff. I don't know. But it just seems kind of odd that these rumors are circulating on social media and screenshots are being passed around of alleged payments he's made for sports gambling back in 2022, when, by the way, he would have been a freshman at Washington State. Not a good look to potentially be betting on college football games while you were a college football player yourself. So I'll be completely honest with you. Do I think that this is that big of a deal? No, I don't. But if it ends up being legitimate, you might be in some hot water there, because we know that this is something that the NCAA has taken very seriously recently, is all of the gambling in college athletics. And I know it was 3 years ago. Again, I don't really care, but
Yeah.
I understand that you have to, you have to have guidelines in place, and you can't let people walk all over you and get away with things of this nature. So it'll be very interesting to see how this progresses. Again, this is all alleged. This is screenshots and different things, and he said, she said on social media. But when that starts, and then you have a guy that goes and wipes like an entire part of their social media portfolio off the internet, kind of makes you think, okay, maybe there's at least a little something to it. So maybe if the other screenshots are legitimate, then the gambling ones are as well. And, you can see where it kind of spirals out of control pretty quickly.
And whether or not this is true or not, I'm gonna say allegedly. At least there's some silver lining. He wasn't betting on his team.
Correct.
That's about the only positive you can really come away with.
He was betting on teams in his conference.
That is true. So,
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, it's just a stain. And to be honest, I'm kind of with you. Not really that big of a deal. And also, like, my whole issue with the people that are quote unquote against gambling or things like that, if it's not your money, I legitimately do not care what you do with it. It's not up to, like, I don't, if it has nothing to do with me, I could really, really care less.
Yeah.
And again, with all the things that, think of everything that promotes the gambling side. Like, it's always in your face. As humans, especially here in the U.S., we have free will. Nobody's telling you to do it. The opportunity is there. You do whatever you want with it. Now, in the college realm of things, I can understand it. Kind of, if you're John Mateer, you're thinking, oh, well, I'm a freshman. I ain't even playing.
I was about to say, to be fair, he was a redshirt that year. Like, he didn't even play.
Yeah,
like,
so it's...
He had no real impact. I mean, I guess in practice, but...
Right. And again, it's USC and UCLA. Allegedly. Again, I don't know what it was. I don't know what the point spread was in that game in 2022. But I think at one point in that game it was 45-42 by way of USC. So maybe the over. Maybe he was just cashing out, or he's had some returns. But again, all of this is alleged. I wasn't there. But when you see the fact that people got screenshots, and so happens that now his Venmo isn't activated anymore, it's just kind of, maybe it might have a little bit more legs than we thought.
Yeah, so and again, we'll wait and see if anything comes of this. Who knows? It could all be, it's very easy it would be very easy to Photoshop things like that. But there are some reasons to believe that it would be legitimate. So we will wait and see how that goes. I'm sure, John Material, I'm sure he'll say something, or the next time that, he talks to the media after practice, they'll definitely be asking him about it. So I'm sure we'll get more information on it soon, but I know that was kind of lighting social media on fire last night. And, of course you have the Texas crowd of, oh, he needs to be suspended for the whole year. I saw some, I saw Alabama and Auburn fans. Oh, well, I think he needs to be suspended from, this part of the season to avoid having to face him in Oklahoma this year. But again, this is all alleged. This is just what was going around social media, but it was gaining a lot of traction, and some of you texting in and asking about it this morning. So wanted to give you all the latest there on what could potentially be going on involving John Mateer, the Oklahoma Sooners, and a couple of Venmo captions that could have him potentially in some hot water in the near future. But we do have a lot of college football news that we've gone through. Simpson being named the starting quarterback for Alabama, Malcolm Simmons getting his charges dismissed there on the Plains, the John Mateer situation, and then, of course, just fall camps in football world. So we want to give you some time, make your voices heard, 205-834-9450. A lot of reaction to the Ty Simpson news and much, much more. We go to you next. 6:47. Welcome back into Morning Jox here on your Tuesday morning, a bit of a rainy Tuesday morning. So stay weather aware as you're hitting the kids to school and all that good stuff. But we are just 9 days away, Damian, from a very special event that we can't wait to share with many of you.
Absolutely. Celebrate the kickoff to college football with us at the Bill Smith Buick GMC Jox Kickoff Party at Regents Field on Thursday, August 21st. And the only way to go is by winning tickets. This week is the last week, y'all. To enter to win a pair of tickets for you and the guests, text the keyword GO and your full name to 205-834-9450. Again, the keyword is GO and your full name to 205-834-9450. Winners are drawn and notified daily. For more information, visit joxfm.com.
And we can't wait to see many of you out there next Thursday at Regents Field. Should be a great time as we get you ready for the kickoff to college football season. And I'm sure a popular topic of conversation, especially around one Greg McElroy, will be that of Ty Simpson, because he was named the new starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide yesterday afternoon. And a lot of you have been chiming in with your thoughts on that on the text line. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC. 205-834-9450 is how your voice can be heard here on the show. Also, Malcolm Simmons, his charges being dismissed yesterday, so he should be good to go for the upcoming season for Auburn. And a bit of an interesting situation involving John Mateer's Venmo account. All of those things people are chiming in on this morning, like Matt, who says, if John Mateer is that stupid that he would put that as a caption and keep it public and not make the transactions private so only he and the other person can see it, God help the Sooners. LOL, roll Tide roll. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We were all 18-year-old college freshmen at one point. And you know, me and Damien were talking about this off the air, and I said, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, first off, I would definitely try to use it as an excuse. But I mean, who's to say that that wasn't him and his friends, you know, sending each other money for beer or something? But you're like, dude, how funny would it be if we put sports gambling and we see if the NCAA ever finds out? 100%, that is a conversation that I would believe a college athlete would have, or a college student would have, because that's the kind of stuff that me and my friends would have wanted to do in college and thought that's funny. And you don't realize that it could actually cause you problems one day. Also, and again, I don't know how all of this came up, but if this whole thing is true, I'm sorry, who's the weirdo that's going and looking at John Mateer's Venmo transactions from 3 years ago?
Sounds like somebody from Texas.
You are a weird person if you do. I'm sorry, like if that's how you spend your time, weird.
Yeah, that feels like some Texas foolishness.
Yeah, like, yeah, I just bizarre behavior, but you know, to each their own, I suppose. Let's see. Lance chimes in. He just says, "Ride or tie." Is that going to be the new slogan for this year? Okay, I like it.
I just like roll Tide with, you know, take the I out, put the Y in.
Roll Tide. I like that.
Yeah,
that's good. Roll tie.
Roll tie.
It'll work. Nick from North Birmingham, he says, "What do you think happens first this year? Alabama loses 2 games, or Auburn gets to 6 wins, or Hugh Freeze is fired?" I think the first thing that'll happen out of those, I don't know, maybe Auburn getting to 6 wins. I would say that'd probably be my pick for the first thing to happen there. Let's see. Someone says, "No way Conrad is defending this John Mateer guy. He got caught plain and simple. If he and his buddies sat around saying, 'Let's do this, it would be funny as a D1 quarterback,' then he's an idiot and deserves all the punishment." I'm not saying that it's not stupid. I'm just saying I'm trying to put you in the mind of an 18-year-old kid, and that is 100% something an 18-year-old kid would do. Like, you do stupid stuff. But again, I kind of just go back to, and again, I know this isn't how it works with other things in life, but I'm like, man, this happened 3 years ago. He's at a different school now. He wasn't even playing then. Do we really have to go back and punish him for that? But I'm sure some of you would like to see that happen. I just don't think it's that big of a deal, in my personal opinion. Let's see. This text coming in, it says, "My concern is if the offensive line, not Ty. He can get the job done, but the offensive line has to be better for us to win a natty. I'm ready for them to finally live up to expectations this year." Yeah, offensive line certainly is going to need to take a step up there for the Crimson Tide. These texts rolling in say, roll Tide, roll. Ty's going to show everyone that he was a legitimate 5-star recruit when he only loses 1 game or 0 games this year. He also adds, Alabama's going to beat Florida State by 3 touchdowns.
Let's go.
And they also say, Damian, love your take on the John Mateer situation. If it isn't money and you didn't bet on a game, if you didn't bet on a game that he was a part of, it shouldn't matter.
Exactly.
I would agree with that. But I know that's maybe not the most popular opinion, but yeah,
he had nothing to do with UCLA and USC.
Well, and I just brought it up. Like, right, you're a college athlete. You have an 11 a.m. kickoff. You want to go home in that afternoon and watch, whatever the primetime game, the college game day game is. You want to throw $20 on it. I don't care. You're not playing in that game. Again, I understand for the integrity of the sport, that's a bad look. But for me personally, I'm just saying, I don't care. That doesn't bother me. Let's see. Another text rolling in says, Texas fans are going to make the John Mateer thing a big deal. They're petty like that. Yeah.
I'm here for it, though.
Yeah. Probably so.
Gets nasty. It just means more.
Yeah. Yep. Can't read these. Yeah. If you texted about Malcolm Simmons this morning, I appreciate some of the creativity in those, but I cannot read any of them on the air. We have another text that comes in. It says, I think Ty has the potential to have a Mac Jones type year for Alabama. They both had to sit behind established starters and wait their turn. As far as people saying if he was going to be good and he would have already started, Tua had to sit behind Jalen. Would they say that Tua wasn't good? Well, I guess they should have put Ty Simpson in the second half of the, what was it, the Macadamia Nut Bowl that we played in last year against Michigan, whatever that, I don't know what it's. Doesn't matter. It wasn't a playoff game. Couldn't care less what bowl game it was. I don't know. I really don't remember what bowl game it was.
Well, I mean, you saw him at Oklahoma, so maybe you should have. Maybe after the second pick, you put Ty in and see what he can do.
Oh, I was screaming that with some other words in between from the top of the stadium. I promise you that.
Makes sense.
Don't think they heard me. Let's see. This text coming in from Gadsden says, Ty Simpson's a great choice. His decision-making and running ability will lead Bama back to a college football playoff. Like the text there. Lee in West Georgia, Lee J, says, as an Alabama fan, I hate Alabama fans. The people that don't want Ty Simpson are the same people that don't want Kalen DeBoer. Trust the coach, trust the player, and trust the process.
That's it.
That's
all it comes down to.
Tide.
Patience.
I like it, Lee. I appreciate it. Chris chimes in. People forget that Ty Simpson was a highly ranked dual threat recruit. His legs are a weapon. He had to sit behind some pretty good QBs. That's why he didn't start until this season. Eric chimes in. If John Mateer gets suspended for the season for the betting allegations, how does that affect y'all's chances of Auburn and Norman?